Hello, everyone. By the power of God, Jesus, and the Bear Conductor, it came from the internet. And I'm David, and I'm here, of course, with Dylan, who will, of course, be recounting another story to me since we are now, well, we're recording this out of continuity. So for those who are listening to the raw audio, you'll know we recorded this before we recorded our single episode story about Peter Coppin because our launch is running behind because we're waiting on art.
Right. If you do only listen to the raw audio, you'll get like the content sooner. But we are putting together like super edited versions that have like clips and music and junk in it that are straight podcasts that you can listen to.
I think they're nice. I like. Well, I
I
mean, I
really
made
like
them
it, mostly because I don't sound like I'm in a hurricane the whole time.
and I cut out a lot of our pauses.
Right.
Unless I leave in the ones that are there for dramatic impact, like in during the saga of Chris Chan, when you told me that Blue Spike was a 13-year-old boy who Chris Chan
Yep.
was phone sexing with. Like, there's like a somewhere between like 3 to 5 second just like period of silence when my brain tries to wrap itself around that fact.
Yeah. I mean, I've only been able to continue functioning simply by kind of forgetting that happens all the time, and then immediately forgetting it whenever it's brought back up. But so if you like the podcast enough, but you're not really sure about a certain subject, or you're not super enthusiastic, wait a week or two, and that'll go up on iTunes or something. I guess I don't know that part.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
yeah,
what will happen.
right.
So
Um, so we were gonna
also,
do
if you hear me scuffling while we're recording this, it's because I have to change my laundry over because it's late at night when we're recording this, and I would like to sleep on my brand new Venture Brothers sheets, and they need to go in the dryer.
you fucking dork.
That show is so fucking good. Leave me alone.
I haven't
But
seen
this,
like 2 seasons of it. I think I haven't watched it in a while.
you saw the first two, right?
I watched like the first four, and then I just fell off at some point.
You should go back because it is one
I
of
should.
my favorite shows. But yes, this is the first episode in what I have dubbed the tale of that guy with the glasses, where I don't know much about this. I know that that guy with the glasses is Nostalgia Critic and Spoonie. And are there any other names that I would recognize from there?
Uh, Depends. Angry Joe is a big part of that
I
guy with the
don't know
glasses.
who that is. I've heard that name, but I have no idea who that is. All see, my only experience with this site at all is a couple years ago. Everyone was like, "Oh fucking man, shit's going on with Spoonie," because there's always something going on with Spoonie, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is Spoonie?" And they linked me to a video, and I watched it, or I tried watching it, and I was like, "This just seems like a dumb ripoff of Mystery Science Theater." With someone who's not as funny,
Well, yeah, that's kind
I'm gonna go watch Mystery
of
Science Theater instead.
um, but yeah, so that guy with the glasses is. I mean, it depends. Like the caustic critic, the idea of like someone just tearing something a new asshole, and then that's the joke. Um, Kind of culminated in that guy with the glasses.
Was Angry Video Game Nerd first? Because I feel like that's the first one in this douchebag or not douchebag, but just like angry internet uh, commentator's not the right word, but critic, angry internet critic. I feel like that was the first thing I had heard about, but I honestly don't know the timeline of any of this stuff.
Yeah, AVGN beats it by a little bit. I think the Nostalgia Critic might have been active before him, but he was not doing Nostalgia Critic at the time. But yeah, AVGN was kind of the front runner, and then he got poached by Screw Attack, and then I want to say they tried to get him. The
Screw Attack's still
AVGN.
a thing.
Oh yeah, it's still going. I think it's still going. I think they have like no, it's still all right. It's still going because Mega 64 like every year they have like a showdown with the Screw Attack people. I think
That
maybe.
was another thing I never got into. I really like I've loved every Mega 64 video I've ever seen, and I really like those guys, but I never got into them.
You've seen
I was
every video, but though, haven't you?
Which one?
I mean, just said you've seen every video.
No, no, no. I said I've seen a few, and I said I've liked every video I've seen.
Oh, okay. They're really good. I like their podcast a bunch.
Um,
They have like their friends who are really funny and make really good stuff together. They're Red Letter Media for video games. Is what they are.
yeah, and you can tell that they all love doing what they do. But that's off topic.
Not exactly. Red Letter Media will come into this.
Really?
Yes.
I will it come into this episode or will it come in down the line?
It might come into this episode, depending
Shit.
how far we get. So I have some stuff written down here. One of the things that's difficult about looking up stuff on That Guy with the Glasses is that Chris Chan has a fleet of people who write down every innocuous thing he's ever done. That Guy with the Glasses has a fleet of people who erase everything negative they've ever done. Which
So it's the opposite of Chris Chan, who it's like this guy has just done this disgusting, horrible thing. Quick, we need to make it available to the world.
right.
So they're like, oh my God, this person we love has turned out to be a giant raging douchebag. Let's erase every mention of him being a giant raging douchebag from the internet.
Yeah.
And I use the male pronoun just because I don't know. I know women are bad too, but I'm just used to seeing the stereotypical image of an overweight, balding white guy yelling at his webcam.
It's because the patriarchy says women can't do anything wrong, as well as can't do anything at all. But anyways, fucking patriarchy. I want to do an episode on the patriarchy where we just read conspiracy theories. And
That's just as bad as my idea to just sit there and read trigger words slowly for an hour and a half.
Oh, that'd be great. Anyways, fuck, what was I going to talk about? I just sort of have innocuous stuff here. It's
Innocuous.
Innocuous.
There's no L. It's innocuous.
I'm almost certain there's got to be. Whatever. It's not important. At some
Innocuous.
point, the Streisand effect comes into play, and people will begin to post like the vitriol and the spite everywhere, just because people are trying to get rid of it.
Well, it's. I mean, if you want a modern variation of that, it's Gamergate, where it's all being censored, so people are just doing it because it's they're trying to silence it.
So we don't have a ton of stuff from the site's early years, but I do have more stuff.
Tell me about the site. Tell me. Just give me set the scene here, Dylan. What year are we talking about? Like,
before we talk, I read the Encyclopedia Dramatica page for That Guy with the Glasses because it was about as close to a critical wiki as I could find for it. And they have one quote from some random nobody, which kind of surmises That Guy with the Glasses very beautifully, which is. I know it's just a bunch of 20-somethings having fun, picking on the EG targets for laughs, not truly an attempt at academic criticism, etc., etc. Still, he's getting a little too used to confining himself to That Guy with the Glasses, where he can say or do anything, and hordes of fans will jump in to spew blind praise before they even finish watching it, as well as pounce on anyone who criticizes him. It's kind of ironic, really, that the critics on the site surround themselves with fans that stifle any criticism.
Interesting. So who is That Guy with the Glasses? Like, that is, I know it is a website of internet personalities.
Well, not anymore. They changed the name, but we'll cover that.
Okay.
So That Guy with the Glasses starts in... Hold on, I have a date here. No, I don't. 2006, 2007, probably 2008. Let's say that.
So the Xbox 360 has launched. We're all getting used to online gaming.
This is right when the internet started to become what we know it as. This is the internet taking on its modern form. Social media is really getting big.
Chris Chan is about to reveal himself as the monster he is to the rest of the world.
That might have been part of the reason why That Guy with the Glasses got away with so much shit in the early years, is that people were so focused on Chris Chan, no one was paying attention to these idiots. Like, just the communities that, like, look at internet retards had not formed yet.
I edited our last 4 episodes of, or the 3 out of the 4 episodes of Chris Chan in like the last few days, so I have all of that timeline fresh in my head. And yeah, we're like everyone's watching these not sociopath is not necessarily the correct word, but just all of these crazy people cropping up when the real crazy is the one that can, hide it well enough, unless you look closely, or right under our noses.
So that guy with the glasses, his true name is Doug Walker. He's the Nostalgia Critic. He started to make a name for himself on YouTube by doing something called 5-second movies, which I don't know if you know what they are. I don't. They were completely gone by the time I joined up on the internet. I think he drew like little 5-second joke comics about.
Are you telling me that Nostalgia Critic invented Vines before Vines were a thing?
Maybe. I mean, Vines have 7 seconds, and
I thought they were 6.
I don't fucking care. It's enough time for someone to superimpose rap lyrics over SpongeBob clips. I know that.
And that's all you care about.
No, because the rest of it's garbage. But the SpongeBob ones, they are always great.
Moving on.
Anyways, so Doug Walker is, at this point, he has an actual job. He's either an illustrator or a janitor.
That's a pretty big gulf between potential jobs, Dylan.
He works at like an animation studio, I assume in Chicago, Illinois, 'cause that's where he lives now. And I think no matter what, he works in somewhere that does animation, but I don't know if he himself is an illustrator.
But if he's not an illustrator, he's a janitor?
Because ED and like 4chan's TV board, they all say he's a janitor. And I'm like, well, that could just be, 4chan being a bunch of fucking idiots, because that's what they do. Because they're not trying to do real hard-hitting journalism like I am. So I wanted to find it, all right, was he an illustrator or not? I can't find any mention of his actual job position, which leads me to believe he was a janitor, and he just never told anyone he wasn't.
So he was a janitor?
I can't say definitively one way or the other, full disclosure, just because I couldn't find any information one way or the other, but my journalistic intuition tells me he is a janitor. He was a janitor who was aspiring to be an animator, and he picked up tips, or he was smoozing, or he might have been like an intern or something, and then they just had him clean out papers and junk.
Well, I can definitively say either way that whether he was an animator or a janitor, both of those are jobs that would give you the type of personality to go on the internet and bitch about shitty movies for hours on end.
Right. But again, he's not really complaining about the movies yet. He is just making dumb little 5-second clips.
I have no idea what he does in general. I just know when I hear Nostalgia Critic, I just picture in my head someone being an asshole against properties. So
I will say that guy with the glasses.com banner did say home of 5-second movies for about, let's see here, 2007, 2008 to 2014. 6 or 7 years, even though I don't think he's made any of them for 5 or 6. And they just never bothered to get rid of it. So, Doug kept getting into trouble with YouTube because his videos broke copyright a whole bunch. I think this is around the time Google bought YouTube, so they might have been really cracking down.
His 5-second movies broke copyright?
Yeah, because he's just drawing bits from movies. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were. You didn't.
He might have actually just posted clips online, and I misread something. It's not important. And then at some point he started doing Nostalgia Critic. Which,
So what is Nostalgia Critic?
I mean, it's what you just said. You saw Spoonie, that's Nostalgia Critic, except he focuses on, stuff that if you were a 20-something, you would have watched when you were a kid. And then the idea is...
So, Transformers,
yeah.
G.I. Joe...
Yep.
Jim and the Holograms.
Not her specifically because he's like, well, I mean, I was a dude. I didn't really watch that stuff. We'll get into who covered Jim and the Holograms. But yes, the Transformers movie, the new one is how he started the Nostalgia Critic, and he did it in the style of like just an idiot, like, man, look how amazing this movie is. There's explosions every 5 seconds, and it was 2008, so he was
So
he was ahead of the curve. The joke had not been
cutting
made.
edge internet satire by acting like a dude bro.
Yeah, like this is 2008 before anyone had really made the Michael Bay lives in explosions joke, and he was making it, and he was
But
making bank.
I don't understand why no one made that joke. We lived in a post Bad Boys 2 era.
But like, I mean, come on, Transformers really people like Bad Boys. No one,
I like the first Transformers movie.
I watched it when I was like 12.
The second one is an abomination against all of film, but I like the first one.
Well,
It's fun.
I guess whatever. Anyways, and then Nostalgia Critic proper is like I mean it's a spoony video, but like I said, he's focusing on nostalgic stuff. One of his most popular
Does-
reviews
Does
is
he
like
use robot puppets too?
he does not. He doesn't really use any puppets. His puppets are a woman and a black guy now, but we'll cover that.
Are they actual puppets?
No, unfortunately, they're like people. I mean, they're as close to people as women and black people can be.
God damn
anyways.
it,
So the Nostalgia Critic ran for.
okay, I have to say I'm glad you're not gonna defend yourself against that obvious joke, but just the legitimate disappointment in your voice when I asked if they were puppets and you said no they're not. It was touching.
They're kind of puppets. I mean, they're like wannabe actors in Chicago who are like contracted, who are like tied into a contract and have to do whatever he says, I guess.
Well, with whether if you hire people, they are essentially your puppets for as long as they will actually work for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, aren't these type of creators that we cover so much, or we will be covering so much in this show, aren't they all of their fans just their puppets anyways?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's worth noting that I probably more so than anyone will ever cover on the podcast, Doug Walker is successful. He probably he's probably a millionaire to some degree.
Really?
Like he is raking in by himself around. He's like raking in the type of money that like big YouTubers rake in. I mean, he's not like making PewDiePie money, but he's like making like Amazing Atheist and who else is a big YouTuber? He's the only one.
I don't know all of the. I mean, I know PewDiePie, but I don't know who the Amazing Atheist is. I've just heard that name a lot.
Like the Amazing Atheist and Thunderfoot, and I'm revealing a lot about who I am here by accident, but whatever. Those are he's doing like that type of money on like one channel, on like Blip. He is the biggest thing that has ever happened to Blip.tv, and he also is making money through fucking he like a YouTube channel where they will post the stuff there. He's making bank basically. He lives in a fucking mansion. It's crazy.
Shit, I had no idea.
And it's kind of awful because he has been putting out the exact same product for 7 years with no real revision or upgrade in quality. And
Or any growth as a creator.
Or apparently they are still making growth. Someone on TV actually like looked at the metrics, and they were like, you look at, I don't know when this was done. I very much doubt it was recently. But basically, like Red Letter Media, at some point, they plateaued, and they have not really grown in popularity at all for like a year. Whereas that guy with the glasses was like steadily becoming bigger than they'd ever been before. Although, telling, someone also looked at the Patreons of all like the caustic critics on the internet, The biggest That Guy with the Glasses Patreon was Spoonies, and he had about $4,500 a month. The biggest overall was Red Letter Media with about $8,500 a month.
I really like Red Letter Media.
They're the best. So I mean, it's quality over quantity. But anyway,
Even when I disagree with them, I respect their opinions.
yeah, it's nice that it's nice that people just sitting and talking about movies. The reason I liked That Guy with the Glasses, and I think the reason why most people did, is just because we just like hearing people talk critically about stuff.
Things we like.
Yes, and hearing, like, it's just two dudes who sit in a set. They're technical. They know how to make their own movies. They know enough about craftsmanship. They're not snooty about it. It's what all reviews should be. And in an era where we have Red Letter Media and Half in the Bag, we don't really need That Guy with the Glasses anymore, which is probably why it's probably going to die soon, but whatever.
Really?
We'll cover that, too. So the Nostalgia Critic ran pretty much weekly for, I want to say, 5 solid years. Like, he never really missed a week.
Jesus Christ. And he's still working as a janitor.
No, at some point, he quit his job. Another thing that he was kind of on the curve of was he made, like, a big deal of him quitting his job. Like, he played what's the fucking song from 2001 that plays at the start of it? That one song, the classic song. You fucking know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played that, and then he walked into, like, the cafeteria, and, like, he opened his shirt, and on his chest he wrote, "I quit." And he got, like, a big old laugh out of that from people. This was...
On the internet, or...
No, like, the people who were there, they laughed at it, too. They thought it was funny. And then, this is 2008, before social media, when we realized that if you do something like that, you might as well just have, like, a tattoo of someone's face over your own face, because you're never going to get, like, a normal job again.
Yep.
But, so, he did quit, and I mean, the dude's got a good work ethic. Like, every time he reviewed something, he's doing reviews now that are close to an hour in length. And he always found something, and it's kind of always the same product, but he still had to make it. He still had to, like, write it and put it out there. And there was a definite time where I was like, you know what, I get it. I get the joke. He's not really saying anything interesting anymore. I'm kind of done. And at some point, he realized that he wasn't getting the joke either. And so for the first 4 years of the website, they had anniversary movies where, like, they got all the reviewers together and they made, like, a dumb little film. And the first one was the Nostalgia Critic versus the Angry Video Game Nerd, I think. And it was just, like, a big old fight between That Guy with the Glasses and Screw Attack contributors. And it was dumb. It was just a bunch of idiots at, like, a hotel dressed up as dorks shooting each other with Nerf guns. And it was dumb, but it was fun dumb. And then, like, the fourth one, at the end of it, he's like, you know what? Nostalgia Critic's done. And I think he, like, dies or leaves or something. I don't know. I didn't watch it. At that point, I was like, I'm tired of stories and reviews. I just want to hear people talk about movies. So he quit Nostalgia Critic for a little while in, I want to say, 2012. It might have been 2011. Or it could have been, I don't know.
So That Guy with the Glasses is Nostalgia Critic, though, right? Like, that's his site.
Yes.
So he quit his own site, which at this point has become a collaborative thing, right?
Okay, so the idea from the very start is when he started up That Guy with the Glasses, he started up with 3 people. One guy named, like, Bargov. I don't know what his last name is. He's, like, Indian, I think. Mike Ellis and Mike Michaud. And the idea that Mike Ellis came up with is he was like, back in, like, early 2000s, he's like, it'd be really cool to have a MySpace, but only of, like, creators, Like, have just, like, a series of sites that cover various topics and, like, reviewers and critics and creators and stuff like that. And then he and Mike worked at a Circuit City as stock boys. And then the Nostalgia Critic knew Bargov, who knew the two of them, and they're like, well, let's start it up. Let's make the site. So they started it up, with the Nostalgia Critics name, just sort of to get people in on it. And the idea was always, once they had enough people on the site, they were going to change the name to Channel Awesome. That was always the idea.
But they never did.
They did finally this month.
Wait, what?
After 7 fucking years, they finally managed to redo the site from the ground up. I think they had an Indiegogo campaign in 2012 where they raised like $90,000 to make this awful looking site in WordPress.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. That is, if you try to go to that guy with the glasses, you do automatically go to Channel Awesome now. So there does not really seem to be that guy with the glasses anymore. He hasn't used the moniker that guy with the glasses in years. I don't really know if he ever used it. He's like, Nostalgia Critic is like the only meaningful thing he's really put out. So he quit it for a very brief while. And he was like, I'm going to start up another show called Demo Reel that's less construed. It's not just a review show. It's going to be something else. I never watched it. But I guess the idea was it was going to be like a sketch show or something.
Like SNL, Kids in the Hall sketch show.
I guess. The only thing I ever really remembered from it is one episode was Wreck-It Ralph, and I didn't watch it. And there's another episode about the Joker where he and like the other characters, his other actors, his puppets, as we called them earlier, that's where they came in. He hired them up, and he's like, hey, here's a contract for a year, you know, and he got like a warehouse.
So he's making enough bank at this point to hire actors.
Okay, well, here's the fucking problem. Apparently, like, he ran into a ton of money problems here. Like, he wanted to buy, like, a studio space, but he, I guess, could not afford it or couldn't keep up for some reason, which I don't get. Because the fucking Mega 64 guys own a fucking warehouse. And they're nowhere near as big as the site that guy with the glasses. There's just no way. Why can't he afford, like, I don't know, just like a fucking backroom place in Chicago?
Is that where he lives?
Yeah, he lives in Chicago, Illinois. Other than he's an idiot who doesn't really understand how money works.
To be fair, most people are idiots who don't understand how money works.
Most people don't become entrepreneurs then.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Or they will hire a financier, or they'll hire a manager, or they'll hire people to cover them what they don't know instead of just doing Indiegogo campaigns. This fucking website was so popular for so long.
Explain, we need to get into that.
Fucking, apparently they've never bothered to upgrade their server from, like, the first year they had it. Could you imagine that?
No.
A video site still running on, like, the same server that they bought in 2007?
That's not... No. No.
It should not be possible.
No.
It's crazy. But he did Demo Reel for a while, and then I guess that fell out because no one cares. That's another reoccurring theme, is no one cares about anything but Nostalgia Critic. So he might as well just fucking open a YouTube account and do that. But, so apparently he wanted to just go back to Nostalgia Critic. He did. And he decided, you know what, because before he had like a thing, like, I won't review anything past the year 2000. And then he was like, fuck it, I'll just review everything now. Because I wasn't really reviewing anything truly nostalgic for the past 3 years anyways. And he kept on his puppets. I think he had to from a contract. He might have tried to, like, get out of it, but they were like, nope, you paid us. It's pay us completely or keep us on. And he kept them on. The one puppet moved out to California, and then he got another puppet to replace her. So they're still there. They still show up in all his little reviews.
Why?
I mean, you know, it's money. It's a paycheck, whatever. It's a constant paycheck. You get fucking work every week. That's more than most actors ever get.
That's true.
Like, you know, I mean, it's probably not a ton of money, but I bet it's enough money to, like, subsist. fucking whatever. A lot of people maintain that Nostalgia Critic is still garbage to this day. I don't really agree with that. I actually think when he came back, when he got rid of the arbitrary date, when he started there was some passion back into it. Like he only tackled stuff that he actually cared about, and he actually bothered to have criticisms for it. There's content he's put out recently that I actually still enjoy to some level.
Well, maybe before we record the next part, I'll actually watch some Nostalgia Critic videos just
Yeah,
to.
I mean, it's it's kind of all the same stuff, but I just don't think it's bad. Slow Beef of Retsu Prey once said that he was completely reliant on the quality of the film, and that is completely correct. It all depends on how awful the movie is, how good the review is. So that's a little bit. I mean, that's the Nostalgia Critic in a nutshell. What's happened to him? So early in the site's history, in order to garner new talent, they held a contest to find a female version of the Nostalgia Critic, specifically to tackle nostalgic stuff for women, because obviously Nostalgia Critic is a dude.
So you're saying Nostalgia Critic will obviously, when we get further into the story, with management and money stuff for the site as a whole, but that's pretty much it for him.
I mean, what do you want? Dude reviews dumb movies. He stopped.
Maybe I guess I'm just kind of impressed that he kind of. I mean, I guess he stopped for a little bit, but for 7 years just doing that,
does it every fucking week. I don't think. I'd be curious to find out if he ever actually skipped a week. I even think when he was out filming stuff, he was still putting content up.
No, I guess no matter what happens in this story, I gotta kind of respect that. That's some serious fucking work ethic, and.
I mean, I've heard some bad stuff about the management of Something Awful, but repeatedly, I think the worst I hear.
Awful?
Not. Did I say Something Awful?
Yes, you said Something Awful.
No, I meant. I mean, this is kind of Something Awful, but I mean, I hear bad stuff about the management at Channel Awesome, but usually Doug is just willfully ignorant rather than actively insidious, which you could argue is almost worse, but But anyways,
is it? No, I don't think it's
not worse. But you could argue it's as bad, I suppose.
Yeah, okay, I will 100% give you that.
So the contest was pretty simple. Can you do what the Nostalgia Critic does, but for girly stuff? There were a couple different.
Gem in the holograms.
Gem in the holograms.
I like Gem in the holograms.
I think the three notable ones is some chick named Mars Girl who does anime reviews. I never watched anything she did. That girl with the goggles, which is convenient because it's the exact same acronym as that guy with the glasses. She didn't win. She was good enough to get on the site, but I don't know if she ever actually put anything up. I think she might have put up one video once.
How do you get on the site if you put up one video?
I mean, so she entered a contest at the time where this subgenre didn't exist. So it didn't take much.
Girls didn't exist.
Girls didn't. I mean, this reviewer thing was not big yet.
I know, and I like the idea that the genre of tailoring entertainment towards women on the internet did not exist. And in 2009.
This is 2008, 2007.
I mean, yeah, but it impresses me how far we've come in such a little amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, this is pre iPhone. This is before everyone had 8 cameras on them all the time.
Is YouTube around yet?
Yeah, YouTube started in 2005. Around there.
Have we gotten to the point where they take off the arbitrary 15-minute cap on video lengths?
Hold on a second. Sorry about that. My sister had a bug on her pillow.
It's no problem.
No, this is still before the YouTube time limit was even 15 minutes. This is the 7-minute time limit.
Oh.
Yeah. 10-minute time limit was 2009. The 15-minute one, I want to say, was like 2010, and then sometime in 11 they just removed it completely, or at least removed it in any like. No, they removed it because I've seen like 8-hour YouTube videos.
You have to validate your channel.
Right, before you can do stuff like that, but you know.
But yeah.
In all practical terms, the limit.
No, they have fucking 10 hours of just like making bacon pancakes on loop. What? You don't like making bacon pancakes?
I don't know what that is. Is that a thing?
It's from Adventure Time. Jake the dog sings about making pancakes, making bacon pancakes.
I just think of
bacon and you put it in a pancake.
I just think of the scene from Trash Humpers where like the old woman is talking about not faking making breakfast, and then like gets really fucking angry about it.
What's Trash Humpers?
Trash Humpers is an awful art film about a bunch of people with ugly masks who run around having sex with trash.
Well, I feel like I've heard of this. Who made it?
I don't. Fucking. He's like notable. He's made stuff before. He's the Spring Breakers dude.
Oh, okay.
Right. That was his movie before Spring Breakers.
That's why I knew about it.
That is covered by someone on the site. There's a dude named Owen Citizen who does shitty art films who I really liked, and he's apparently insufferable.
Great.
So, yeah, that's a reoccurring theme. Speaking of insufferable, the winner of the Nostalgia Chick contest, that's the word I'm looking for. I was about to say chronicle for some reason. The Nostalgia Chick contest, Jesus, was Lindsay Ellis, who went by the Dudette before this, and now she goes by the Nostalgia Chick. Lindsay Ellis is not related to Mike Ellis, as far as I can tell, who was one of the founders of the site. Ironically, despite just being like the female version of like the male main character, ostensibly, Lindsay Ellis is a pretty big feminist.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, she's real artsy, and people have said that her reviews are like every college freshman's deep analysis of utter trash. He has that sort of air to her, which I actually really liked because that's what I wanted. I wanted someone just to talk really critically about movies, and I thought, she's funny enough. I mean, I get why people don't like her, but I think her style is fine. But like, and kudos to her, she largely keeps like her politics out. Like she doesn't run around crying about the patriarchy and stuff like that. She's
but like the patriarchy, Dylan.
She's like a genuine, honest feminist. Like she thinks there's inequalities and we should try to stop it. She's also working with Anita Sarkeesian on something.
Oh, great.
I don't know what. She kind of looks like her now, also. It's weird. Like, she used to do, like, this weird, dumb thing where, like, her hair was in pigtails, I guess. And now she's like, wears her hair like Anita Sarkeesian. I don't know. It weirded me out when I saw them sitting next to each other. It kind of looked like someone had, like, mirrored an image of
she
Anita.
Was cosplaying as Anita.
I guess. I don't know. Her boyfriend is Todd in the Shadows, who is generally regarded as probably the best contributor to that guy with the glasses, which I'd probably agree with. He reviews dumb pop music. He's one of the few reviewers who has like a really good sense of comedic timing, and like he feels confident in his role as a comedian. And he's also super anti-Gamergate, so.
That's bad.
One step forward, 2 steps back. Fun fact, that girl with the goggles is now a cam girl.
Who is she?
That girl with the goggles, she was the runner-up in the Nostalgia Chick contest.
No, I meant you said she was a cam girl. I was going to tell you to give her out her cam girl name.
Nikki So Darling, I think. I don't think she's a cam girl anymore. I think she quit. I think she is back on the site as like a podcaster or something, but I don't know. I don't pay attention to that trash.
Anyway.
So the computer's a little slow. Some of the other noted contributors to That Guy with the Glasses. The big one, aside from the Nostalgia Critic, is Spoonie himself. Spoonie was really kind of on the ground floor of this whole internet reviewer thing, because he was like doing reviews of like bad games for like his buddies on a forum, and he was very much like aping the Angry Video Game Nerd. Like his first video is like The Adventures of Bayou Billy, and I think at this point he didn't do voiceover and then edit it into the review. He just like took clips of the game and just sort of talked over them and recorded that, and that was his review.
Okay.
And then he did like reviews of stuff like The Thing, the game, where he clearly set it up in such a way that like he knew what he wanted, or like he had like set clips up so he could like make jokes about them, but he was doing his commentary live. So he would just have to sort of coordinate himself in such a way that he would get it when it happened. And that was weird. His claim to fame is he made fun of Final Fantasy VIII.
Like, what do you mean?
I mean, he did like a massive 13-part review on why Final Fantasy VIII is garbage.
But it's not.
And of course, it's pretty fucking awful. I mean, I haven't played Final Fantasy VIII. He makes a very strong case, just from like a story standpoint. You remember how halfway through that game, everyone suddenly remembers that they were all like living together and the villain was their mom?
No.
That happens.
Does it now?
Halfway through the game, everyone's just like, oh yeah, I remember this place. We were orphans here, and the villain ran the orphanage, of course.
Oh.
So the part of the reason that took so long is because it was a review done over like 4 different styles. Like he starts in his just sort of talking over stuff style. He would do like 10-minute videos on like one aspect of the game. So like one video he fought more refined, more tightly edited.
You broke up. You said in one video he fought. It sounded like fought, and then you broke up.
No, like in one video he would cover the story. In one video he kind of covered the like the drawing magic mechanic. And then at one point, like, and over time, he became the more refined style of review he has now. So he made a name for himself because he was taking on a sacred cow that no one really took on before. No one talks shit about Final Fantasy at this time. Whereas now, every idiot on the internet has to be a contrarian. If something's popular, here's why it shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what we're doing here. But then again,
no, we're not. We're not doing that at all. We're telling a story about a controversial subject.
I did when I was looking at this. I was like, I don't think I want to do an episode on That Guy with the Glasses because there's just a bunch of dorks having fun. They're not monsters. And I thought about that with every person I looked at. Like every person I've thought about for doing an episode on, I've thought to myself, does this person really deserve to have like their name run through the mud again?
And then you read the next paragraph, and you're like, shit, holy shit!
And then I realized that these people aren't being dragged through the mud; they're wallowing in it, and I'm just showing people where it's happening.
You are guidance.
Thank you.
That's the stories. I mean, you're gonna tell more stories than me just because you know more about this stuff. But
right. I think it's a tighter. I think it's a tighter dichotomy too. Like my voice is awful and my mic sucks, but I know more, so it balances out.
We're a good team, Dylan. Your voice doesn't suck. Your mic might, but your voice doesn't.
Whatever. Anyways, so Spoonie is currently not a member of That Guy with the Glasses. I don't think.
What's with the robots?
The robots? Well, Spoonie was definitively trying to be Mystery Science Theater. Like, he was clearly like, yeah, I wanted to put together a show like Mystery Science Theater, so I built this little robot, and then I got bored, and I stopped building them.
That really?
Yeah, he just got bored. I mean, I guess, I mean, you build the robot once, you don't have to build it again. Whereas for Nostalgia Critics robots, he has to pay them every day.
You're never gonna let this go, are you?
Not now. I fucking found it. I'm gonna ride this wave.
I'm gonna run this fucking joke so hard into the ground it won't be recoverable.
I mean, will we ever talk about these bozos again? I feel like this site's gonna die soon.
No, I feel like just as Kate has forever introduced us to the concept of Scooby-Dooing as a verb, you will now just refer to lackeys as robots or puppets or whatever.
Right.
Anyway.
See, the trick is, people are gonna ask, who was Chris Chan's puppet? And the answer is Chris Chan was the puppet. It was Leonard Bernstein who was the master. I also got his...
couldn't find any great sound effects beyond what I found for the first episode.
Right.
Made me sad.
What was I talking about? Right, he left the site. I don't think he's back. But basically, so in May of 2012, Rapegate happens.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like we've gone so fast through this timeline, and this is a multi-part story. Like,
I mean, there's no real timeline. I'm just sort of going with what works. I was gonna cover like the individual people, but fuck it. Spoonie's not really gonna show back up, so we might as well talk about why he left the site.
okay, well, tell me what I mean. So Spoonie was trying to be Mystery Science Theater, but why do people besides the Final Fantasy VIII thing, what else did Spoonie do? Because we're also talking about the internet, and as equal parts of there are people who will find one thing that one person did once and forever suck their dick, or, I don't know, not male thing.
I mean, he continued, the Final Fantasy stint. Those are probably his best stuff. He did Final Fantasy X. He did Final Fantasy X-2. He did Final Fantasy 13. That one, that was around the time, you know what? I feel like Spoonie's running out of steam because I fucking hate Final Fantasy 13 so much, and I felt like he left just so much laying on the floor that I was like, man, if I could just find an hour by myself, I would make this my own version. And I never did. I never did. I wrote 3 parts of what I was going to be a 20-part epic about why Final Fantasy 13 is an awful video game. And then I just lost the drive because no one cared.
Because everyone also stopped giving a shit about Final Fantasy 13 because it wasn't that great.
I fucking hate Final Fantasy 13. We should do a Let's Play of it so that way I can speak more coherently on why it's awful.
I don't want to do that.
Every fucking game
and I
that I want to play is to talk shit about it. If it's not, Snake Eater is the only game that I've been enthusiastic about playing that I actually like. I love Snake Eater.
What about Devil May Cry? Anyway.
Rapegate.
Rapegate. So 2012 Rapegate. Is this like Dick Wolfgate?
Sort of. Yeah, sort of. More direct.
Can we stop calling everything Gate?
I don't know. I've got Indiegogo Gate here. I've got
Watergate was a hotel. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a Watergate. It was the Watergate. Yeah.
I bet the dude who named it the Watergate, every time a controversy happens, he just makes a little cha-ching noise.
I don't think that's how it works either.
Someone's gonna wonder. Someone's gonna wonder where the gate comes from, and then they're gonna want to see it firsthand. We call him the Gator.
I'll never forget that stupid throwaway joke on Futurama when they go back to the Watergate Hotel and it's got the 70s sign and it says now with color mattress stains.
Why would Nixon come to the Watergate? They give you a discount if you've been here before.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Noah threatened to rape someone.
Wait, Spoonie threatened to rape someone.
Well, threatened is very strong. He made a rape joke. There's another reviewer, Jessie Otaku. She makes dumb anime reviews. Um, so here's the exact tweet. At Jessie Otaku. You know, if things don't work out with you and Nash, I'd be happy to chain you to a pipe in my basement and love you. My way.
Oh.
My way of loving someone is dirty and painful and ends in tears.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that, like, it started off like this is just a really fucking stupid joke, and then it got... That's not a joke anymore. That's going way too far.
Right. I mean, you know, you shouldn't make jokes about abusing other people. You should make jokes about abusing yourself. That's the classic
Self-flagellation.
comedy.
That is my word of the day. Self-flagellation.
So another reviewer, Obscurus Lupa, who kind of reviews bad horror stuff, I guess. I don't know really what her gimmick is. She's just sort of a B-movie reviewer, I guess. Some of these people don't really have gimmicks. They just sort of do whatever. So she started giving him crap about it, like, well, that's not cool, dude. You can't do that to people. Varying reports on... I mean, I know people who are like, you know, Obscurus Lupa dug this thing up like a month after the fact when it was no longer relevant.
So the
and then,
internet.
right. And then I've heard people like, no, she was totally in the right. Like, people who are anti that guy with the glasses are like, no, Lupa's very clearly in the right of this. Encyclopedia Dramatica, for what it's worth, seemed to take her side. That's probably just because it would be funnier if Spoonie left that guy with the glasses than if Lupa left. Although she did leave.
And this is pre... When did Encyclopedia Dramatica become Internet?
I think this is after that. It's just that
What?
the Encyclopedia Dramatica people, they keep up with it. They're dedicated, if nothing else.
It's just that the community is dead, but the community that was there, the remnants, won't leave forever.
I mean, like, the people who ran Encyclopedia Dramatica are gone, but the people who made Encyclopedia Dramatica live on.
I still can't believe that.
It's crazy. The internet's a great fucking place.
Just that, you know, 2 years after they made the joke of becoming nice, they became nice.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Chris Chan taught me a lot about serendipity and just how beautiful life really is when you look at it. Just the parallels and the constants, it's great.
So Spoonie made a rape joke.
Spoonie made a rape joke. According to Lord Cat was a contributor to that guy with the glasses. He made a show called Until We Win, which was not a review show. Instead, it was kind of a bit of a fact. It was a heavily edited Let's Play, let's say. He basically made a video telling you how to beat very difficult games and explaining like the very troublesome parts of it. So it was like a half-hour Let's Play, more or less.
Neat.
It was fun. He still does it. Yeah, Lord Cat is really... He's really like an internet success story in a lot of ways. He put his nose to the grindstone. He streams every day. He like put together his own site. He learned how to code. He does podcasts all the time. He's putting together a convention this year, I think. Basically by himself, and he's out getting sponsorship for it. He's going across the country gathering interest in it. He ultimately left the site, supposedly because Until We Win was becoming too much of a project for him and was distracting him from his other projects. But like I just said, he still does it. I mean, I guess if you don't run on like a tight schedule, you can just sort of do whatever you want. But it's more than likely because he is a lot of the horse shit encircling that guy with the glasses comes to us through Lord Cat, who maintains friendships with people at the site. So if they want to get word out on what's happening there, but they don't want to out themselves because this is how they live, they will tell him, and then he will more than likely get it to the people who want to know.
Okay.
So Lord Cat, what was I talking about before Lord Cat?
Lord Cat. Spoonie.
Spoonie. No.
Rapegate.
I had a connection between these two, but I forgot what it was. Oh well.
Lord Cat keeps friendships with everyone.
Oh, okay, I remember. Lord Cat said that apparently the higher-ups at that guy with the glasses thought about firing Lupa for this event.
Because she correctly pointed out that Spoonie was being a douchebag.
Yes. And it's also worth noting, Lord Cat does not like Lupa. They do not get along very well. But even he was like, I don't like her or anything, but that's still pretty fucked. Lord Cat's pretty great. If you want to find more in-depth stuff, someone put together a supercut of all like the Channel Awesome stuff Lord Cat has talked about over like the last year. It's 8 hours and it is great. It's great.
Jesus.
It's great to hear someone who is everything Doug Walker is not tell him who's everything Doug Walker wants to be or thinks he is and tells him why he's not that. It's pretty fun.
Really?
I'm a bit of a masochist, if you couldn't tell.
Really?
This is what I do for fun, David. This is my hobby. Anyways.
That's why this show exists.
So, that guy with the glasses suspended Spoonie for 1 month. It's worth noting, Spoonie does not have the work ethic of Doug. He puts out maybe a video a month.
Shit, man.
And even then, a lot of the times, it's like a vlog or something. But he doesn't really put the vlogs on that guy with the glasses. He just puts them on his own site. Which is probably where he makes the bulk of his money. So it wasn't a huge deal. But Spoonie just could not fucking let sleeping dogs alive. He just kept on Twitter just, like, going off constantly. A lot of it is just sort of, like, faking pity, but, like, comically faking pity. I don't really know what to call this, so I'll just read it aloud.
Okay.
I also really, really hate the way Twitter is set up, and I don't use it, so this might seem a little weird. Fuck, hold on. Is there punishment harsh enough for scum as loathsome as me? I really don't know what else I need to do. I've apologized. I've begged. Is it blood you want? Tears? I could rend my clothes asunder and wear sackcloth. Flagellate myself with a barbed whip. I can do it. I will. I mean, God. I made a bad joke. I'm sorry. I'm fucked up. I'm sorry already. Please, take my penis. Burn it. I'm worse than Hitler. I should roast in hell. There was a pit deep enough for my sin. I beg forgiveness. Knowing full well I wouldn't be worth pissing on if my face was on fire. It's that kind of stuff.
I'm laughing at it. I hate him for saying it, but it's funny.
So Spoonie's bipolar.
Like
straight up bipolar, needs to be medicated.
Real okay. Why is that important to the story?
Well, because the general idea is, for some reason, either Spoonie didn't, like, this was either the event that taught him that he needed to get, like, medicated, or he was, like, off his meds for a while, which is why he went so insane. And he has since apologized. He's like, I was off my case.
So the insane is him saying that stuff? Like...
Yeah. Like, all the stuff he said, he's like, I made an awful joke, and then I did not accept that I had, like, hurt someone. And all that stuff, and he apologized. He's off the site now. He's since reappeared on stuff. Like, he still does crossovers with people, and he's actually appeared with Nostalgia Critic, oddly enough. But whatever. Lord Cat once said that Spoonie's brother is a cop, by the way. So he's like an actual member of society.
Unlike most of the idiots we talk about.
Yeah, Lord Cat, after this event came about, made a video where he basically said that Spoonie's brother should come into his room at night and shoot him in the mouth.
Whoa!
And then he also eventually came back and was like, I was in a really shitty place, and that was a completely awful thing for me to say, and I should not have ever said it, regardless of my thoughts on Spoonie. So it's a fun ride all around, It's a good time we're having here.
Clearly, yes. Fun ride. App description.
Another...
Jesus Christ. And this is the tip of the iceberg, right? I imagine we're talking about a group of apparently horrible people.
Kind of. I mean, again, I have stories from people who supposedly worked with them. There were some chat logs that were leaked a while ago when a couple people got fired. Obscurus Lupa, the woman who called Spoonie out, some stories that she has had is Mike Michaud, the current CEO of the site, supposedly at a convention berated her into a corner and yelled at her until she cried.
That sounds like, or is this like a verified thing, or is it
I mean,
just?
it's a thing that I've heard about from like I've heard about it from Lord Cat. I've heard about it from different users.
But
It's
like other people were there present for this, right? It wasn't just like, oh,
supposedly, yeah, like other people saw it happen.
okay, wow.
Um, and fucking, she got fired because she was not at her computer for 15 minutes.
Oh, so do you want to talk about that now, or will we get to that later?
We can talk about that now.
'Cause
We're not really going in order. This happened like 2, 3 weeks ago. Uh, Literally, Mike Michaud was like, "Hey, we really got to talk. Are you there?" And then 15 minutes later, he was like, or like a few minutes later, he's like, "Look, we got to talk now. If you don't get back to me in like 15 minutes, there's going to be consequences." And then he fired her when she didn't get back to him. And apparently, it is impossible to get in contact with him if you actually need something done. So, and also, she had like told everyone, "Hey, I'm not going to be at my computer today because I have to go do something, unfortunately." So, you know,
Reasonable.
yeah, So, I mean, clearly you break the rules, you get fired. So,
That's what happens, man. You gotta stick to the tenets of your job.
you got
If
to
not, you
be
get fired.
at your computer every second of every day. What if she was asleep?
Yeah, what if he was being a douchebag and messaging her at like 2 a.m.?
I mean, it's a fucking internet gig.
It's a fucking internet. It's internet,
There are,
Dylan.
I mean,
It's
there are
internet.
people who live in other countries who contribute to the site. So that's a completely. I don't think Lupa does. I don't know where she lives in relation to Mashad, but like there are dudes who live in Canada. There's like a dude who lives in England. There are some people whose gimmick is that they live in other countries, which we will get to in a second.
That's a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, everything's a gimmick. But
You're a
so
gimmick.
she left. I think a bunch of people left after that. Her boyfriend Phalis, who I really loved. He's got a
Phallus?
Phalis.
Phallus.
Phalis.
Phallus.
I think his username is a joke. His actual name is like Phelan Forderus.
Fornication.
He's a Canadian, so I don't know where his name is from, but I think his name is a.
Canada.
Yeah. And then he reviewed like bad horror
Sorry,
movies,
I don't know why I did that.
but he focused on like more modern torture porn movies, and he had like a really really dry sense of humor. And bizarrely, in the stories I read of people who worked with him, he kept popping up as like really funny in real life, and I never got that feeling from him. I thought like in real life he was going to be super awkward, but he's apparently like everyone else sort of was shaking in their boots around Doug, but he would take him to task and like he would not take his shit.
But
Supposedly.
what does that have to do with his sense of humor?
Like just the fact that I mean I thought because I've heard him talk in a non-scripted thing and he's so soft-spoken. I just did not think he would. I didn't think he would actually like be willing of all people to stand up to that dude, considering that that's the gimmick of almost everyone on the site is how like forthcoming and vitriolic they are. But anyways, he left. I think Lindsay Ellis, the nostalgia chick, left. Owen Citizen left. Todd in the Shadows left.
So this is when she got fired. They all left.
Yeah, I think nostalgia chick left earlier for unrelated reasons. Phalis left with Obscurus Lupa definitively because they're together, and also she got fucking
Yeah.
fired for not being at her computer for 15 minutes. So you probably don't want to be working there. There's also the fact that Blit TV is probably gonna fucking fall to cinder soon.
Really?
That site is not doing good. The people who are running it don't know what they want, and they're never gonna be YouTube. There's just I like think of what happened to Vimeo.
What happened? I don't know any. What happened to Vimeo? What's wrong with Vimeo?
Vimeo was always supposed to be like the next step in YouTube, and now it's nothing.
Vimeo's gone?
It's not gone, but like no one uses it. Like snooty college assholes use it to put up like their development projects. And like sometimes mashup artists, when they like get DMCA'd, then they will put their stuff up on Vimeo. But it's a pain in the ass.
All I know about Vimeo is it was where I could watch all of Girl Walk All Day, which is a great movie about that is literally a movie made to a mashup artist's album. And then I also know that's what Robot Baby Pirate Cabana Attack or whatever. Paul Robertson, the guy who does the art for the Scott Pilgrim game,
Right.
and does a lot of work with oh god, the people who made the Scott Pilgrim game, and then
That game got pulled.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Why?
Anna Monoguchi refused to renew their contract because they hate gamers, I guess.
What the fuck?
Which I still have it. So now I feel like when we do our inevitable Gamergate episode, we should just stream that in the background.
I love that soundtrack so much.
That would be
That game.
fucking great.
But that guy, his art stuff, like he had his short films or whatever that were done in that art style on Vimeo. But otherwise, yeah, I don't.
I mean, yeah. Like, I think the idea is, like, they were supposed to, like, I know Something Awful kind of dug it for a while because they didn't have, like, the same constraints that YouTube did because they weren't anywhere near as popular. But it's at the point now, like, there's no reason to ever use anything that's not YouTube, really. Unless you're doing, like, Twitch for dedicated streaming. But even then.
YouTube has streaming.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Darkside Phil streams on YouTube because Twitch requires you to lower your bit rate.
And Darkside Phil's crazy like that.
He fucking used a goddamn camcorder for 6 years, and now suddenly everything's got to be 1080p, 60 frames a second. It's not the podcast. We'll get to that one.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one.
Anyway.
Anyway. So a lot of people have left the site. I feel like if you want to know the mindset of the people at Channel Awesome, if you go to the site, the new banner is like this pretty well drawn. It's like it's got like a nice cartoony art style. It looks a little pixel arty actually, and it's all like the different characters of the Nostalgia Critic, most of which are played by Doug Walker, and no one else. And it's
He has
mostly him.
characters.
Yeah, I mean he's the Nostalgia Critic, and then he has like other shows where he's a different character. And then sometimes within his own shows, he plays different characters. His puppets are there too.
I
His
didn't
brother.
realize that he was supposed to be a character.
Yeah, I mean it's so fucking stupid. Like whenever at some point he came under like attack for an opinion on something, I was like, well, I mean the Nostalgia Critic is just a character. It's not who I actually am. And now, like the fucking that guy with the glasses dorks really ride that train. And they talk about all the time, like, well, you got to remember, Nostalgia Critic's just a character. It's not actually Doug Walker. Like, who fucking cares? If you don't like something, you man up.
That's even lamer. That just means, that to me sounds like you're just being a dick to something because it's easier to be a dick than to say something nice about something and trying to make money off of it.
You know what it is? It is in the 2009 Star Trek movie where they take, like, 20 minutes to say, like, no, this is a different timeline. That's what it is. The people who care, no. The people who don't care, don't care.
Except I found that clever in the Star Trek movie.
It's fucking stupid.
You're fucking stupid.
Did you really need to be told that it was in a different continuity than the original show?
No, but I appreciated it.
Like, alternate universes exist within that continuity already.
String theory.
Fucking string theory.
Fuck you, string theory.
Fucking Bioshock.
Anyway.
Horse shit.
Shut up. There's always a lighthouse and there's always a girl.
It's not a fucking girl in the first one.
Yes, there is. They're the little sisters. That was the whole point.
Are they all the girl?
Yes, because they're all wearing the dress.
It's dumb.
You're dumb.
Dumb. It's dumb,
I
dumb,
don't get the hate. I don't get the hatred for that game. I loved anyway.
We'll talk about that after the show. Anyways.
Okay.
I did see someone on the Five Nights at Freddy's subreddit who had taken the cover art to Bioshock Infinite and replaced it with the purple guy from like the murder bits in the second game. And it's like, this is what it is now. And I thought, I don't know why, but when you like Photoshop an 8-bit goofy smile onto other characters, I really like it.
I thought you were going to talk about how it had something to do with something we were talking about.
No, I don't think anyone's reviewed Five Nights at Freddy's.
Period?
I mean, people have. It's like super popular. But I don't know if any of them have done it. It'd be interesting because that game does some cool stuff, and I'd like to see someone talk really critically about it and what it does and how to improve on it. Because I was thinking about like what you would do for 3, and my answer was just like make the cameras actually matter. Because in 1 and 2, at a certain point, like one camera counts, and then the others are just kind of there. And it'd be cool to see someone like really look at it. What does it do right? What does it do wrong? But no, because it's anything that could possibly be good is too good. Is the problem. Very rarely does anything with any amount of nuance make it onto a review on that site. So other noted contributors to that guy with the glasses, the big one is probably Linkara, who...
Now, I've heard this name before.
He might be the worst reviewer.
Ever? Or on the site?
I mean, possibly ever. The Nostalgia Critic, the joke is he's upset. He doesn't like the movie, he thinks it's really dumb. But he'll stop, and he'll tell you why it's really dumb, And that joke gets tiresome, but I feel like he makes good points. And even Spoonie, the joke is how much he dislikes something. But again, he usually, I felt, has good points. There was that time at E3 where he just shouted betrayal over and over again because he thought the new XCOM game was awful. And he ran through the halls shouting betrayal. And then no one at the time with the glasses was allowed to come to E3.
But we're talking XCOM Enemy Unknown?
We are talking XCOM Declassified back when
when it was first announced?
Yeah. And he just ran through the halls shouting betrayal. And then Lord Cat got really pissy at him because he wasn't allowed to go back to E3.
I would understand. I would be pretty pissed too if Spoonie got me banned from E3. But I mean, I kind of understand that. But though honestly, when they first showed XCOM Declassified, it looked really cool. It didn't really turn out.
I was so happy because it was from the Bioshock 2 devs, and I love that team, and I love Bioshock 2. And I thought, you know what? I want an 80s game where I'm an investigator hunting down aliens, and I didn't get that. I just got...
It was like a 50s game.
I mean, yeah, whatever.
I like
Gears of War.
Did you play it?
I don't want to play it.
Oh, I own it.
I don't want to play anything except the Phantom Pain and Hyper.
Oh, I was gonna say, and just Metal Gear Solid 3 again.
And Rain World looks pretty good, I guess.
I don't know what that is.
Hotline Miami 2 comes out at some point.
I own that already.
Persona 5 is coming out.
We're not talking about games, Dylan.
Fucking, there's probably going to be something. I mean, there's going to be more SMT games, I guess.
Dylan.
I'm interested to see if No More Heroes 3 ever comes out. I want to see...
On topic, Dylan.
What's the one game he's putting out now? What is it? Life is Death or something? I mean, it doesn't look as good, but I'm cool. Mechanically, it sounds better.
I liked Killer is Dead.
Killer is Dead is really good. Anyways. So Linkara reads a comic book. Sometimes he gives an analysis of it. He usually doesn't. He just sort of reads it.
So he's a comic book critic that he reads comic books?
Yeah, I mean, fucking...
Like regular comic books? Like he picks up an issue of Batman and just reads it?
Well, okay, he only reads bad stuff. And I'm kind of ashamed to admit...
So like Zombie Tramp or... I don't know, that's the only one that stands out of recent memory that I just kept seeing pop up, and I'm like, why is this a thing?
No, he doesn't read anything that's not Cape Comics.
So I'm trying to think of something really... Oh, so he read like Avengers World or something.
He reads like the Clone Saga.
Oh, he reads old comics.
I mean, he just reads bad comics. It doesn't matter when. He reads like The Dark Knight Strikes Again and stuff like that.
Though to be fair, the Clone Saga started off really cool and was a really great idea that got
It was.
fucking
It
it got
was.
Spider-Man 3'd.
Yeah. Um, and then the fucking,
I think they would have known better with Spider-Man 3, considering that was after the Clone Saga.
no, they didn't. They didn't know better with Amazing Spider-Man 2.
That movie wasn't as bad as everyone said it was. It's not
It's,
great.
I mean, it's the opposite of Metal Gear Solid 4 because Metal Gear Solid 4 is like there's a lot of mediocre parts, but what it gets right, it gets better than anyone. There are parts of Amazing Spider-Man 2 that are really good, and what it gets wrong, it gets real fucking wrong. You want to talk about Peter Parker's spy dad some more?
No, but that was also in the comics.
Fucking everything's awful all the
Don't
time.
don't forget Peter Parker's dad in Ultimate Spider-Man, which is what that movie was basically based on, created Carnage
Yeah, but Ultimate
slash
Spider-Man.
Venom.
What was
So
I talking about?
anyway,
I think it's sidetracked because these people are so goddamn boring most of the time.
and then they become raging assholes.
Like Linkara, he just fucking sits here. You can't even really say it. Like you can't really define why he's awful. He'll just sit and read a comic. He only wants to review what he already knows. He's not interested in expanding his horizons. He will never read anything that isn't a superhero comic. Like definitively, he's gone on saying like I don't care about like Scott Pilgrim and stuff like that. I'm just not interested in it.
Well, fuck you,
And I
man.
don't even think he reads like third party stuff. So he's not reading like Saga or Hellboy or anything.
Or Powers, which
Or
is
Powers.
awesome.
Um, and then he's just like a dork. Um, the Amazing Atheist, who did work for that guy with the glasses for a brief time, once said that he was quoting Mike Ellis, who said he was quote a total fuddy-duddy, and just sort of a big old liberal bitch.
The Amazing Atheist. Who is the Amazing Atheist?
We'll cover him out, whatever. Before we leave Linkara, I want to say, he's a dork. There's funny stories. One dude has a story where he worked at that guy with the glasses, and he was flirting with some girl. He might not have even been flirting with her. He was just sort of talking to her. And Linkara comes up to him, and hold on, let me see it. I have it literally right here. I want to get it correct. All right. So this is a mostly green text story, which is why it's so oddly written.
Green text?
Green text, on 4chan when you type with an arrow, everything turns green.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, so it's that, like, beamy, that type of thing.
Yeah. Fuck, I clicked the wrong thing. At a con break, talking with fellow employee about girl I liked at time, who also happens to be an employee. That's a real fucking weird sentence, but whatever. Lewis, who is Linkara, comes up and hovers. He does this a lot. He'll stand in by a conversation but not engage. After a while, he finally chimes in. Lewis, you shouldn't objectify women like that. Me, I'm not. Lewis, then why are you talking about her? Me, because she's employed and I don't know our policy for that. Lewis, well, perhaps we need a tighter policy for those of us who try to objectify our staff openly. Dude, chill. And then his friends are like, Lewis, for fuck's sake. And Lewis is like, I'm just saying maybe we shouldn't make the women feel uncomfortable. Maybe we should be a little more enlightened about this.
So he's a douchebag.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Holier than thou.
right. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's autistic or something like that, and so he's adopted. He wears a fucking fedora. That's his gimmick. Now
That's his gimmick?
I mean, his original username is that guy with the hat, and he has like
the first one?
No, I mean when that guy with the glasses first started up, a bunch of people did a that blank with a blank as their title, and then everyone kind of dropped them soon enough. He has like a gun that is magic and shoots stuff, and is powered by a ghost from Silent Hill.
What?
Carter's a fucking idiot. Like, that was the day that I quit that guy with the glasses. When I watched one of his reviews, and he was reviewing a Silent Hill comic, and I was like, I really like Silent Hill. I want to see what his comic's about. And most of the review, it's his dumb little story about Pyramid Head, like, imprisoning him, and then he realizes that Pyramid Head's after the ghost of a dead girl who powers his magic gun. And I was like, what's the fucking point, guy? What are you saying? How does this count? If you want to fucking write a book, write a book. Write your dumb little book. There are people we will cover who have written books.
So you're like saying how our good friends at Random Assault, they'll do scripted episodes sometimes, but they always do that like, here's a scripted episode, not like I'm fucking reviewing this and oh look, it's not about that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fucking... Tens of minutes at times are spent on the storylines that no one cares about. Like, I just want you to tell me about the dumb comic guy. Why you gotta sit here and tell me about your gun? Why you gotta sit here in your dumb wannabe 1920s gangster with your dumb little vest and your dumb little hat and your racist grandma, I guess. He's got a character who's a racist grandma, I think. That was after my time, but that's there. And Lamps. Something going on with Linkara and Lamps, I guess.
Why?
People are fucking stupid, David.
Well, I know that, but what does that have to do with lamps?
I don't know. Let's talk about Brad Jones.
Who's Brad Jones?
Brad Jones is the cinema snob. He is largely regarded, even by people who hate that guy with the glasses with a passion, he is largely regarded as a really, really good entertainer.
I've heard that name before, Cinema Snob.
Yeah, he focuses on, like, shot on shitio is what he calls it. Like, really, really awful B-movie schlock. We're not talking about, like, Evil Dead tier, which is like, oh, this is done very cheaply, but has a lot of heart. We're talking about, like...
No, Evil Dead's fucking awesome. Like, Evil Dead's still scary.
We're talking about, like, Bigfoot pornos.
Porn?
He follows a lot of porn, and it's the main reason I never really watched his stuff, is because he's really funny, and he's clearly able to, like, do the, like, this is really dumb sort of angle really well, but I always got sick because it always looked so awful. Like, everything is just so yellow and faded and grainy, and I always got, like, sick looking at it.
I see.
But he's like a filmmaker. He makes his own schlocky movies. They're not very good, but they're in the same vein of, like, they're not very good, but, you know, this dude
like
likes
Red
them.
Letter Media.
I mean, exactly like Red Letter Media. That's actually why I said they would come back up. Because supposedly, Red Letter Media is looking into acquiring the Cinema Snob. Because I think he lives in the same state as them.
Don't they live in, like, Minnesota?
Oh, wait, you're right. They live in Minnesota. I think he lives somewhere else. Oh, well, whatever. But, like, Red Letter Media actually, like, make films for a living. I assume they, like, do advertising stuff rather than, like, film stuff. But I don't know. I don't know how active the local film scene.
I know every few years they do a movie.
Right. So maybe they do, like, just put out, like, short films for grant money or something. I don't know how they make it. But, like, they get it. They know how to make stuff. And so does he. Whereas no one else at that guy with the glasses really has any marketable skills. There's a funny comic that I came across a couple times in my research, which is the plane scene from The Dark Knight Rises, redrawn to be Doug Walker threatening, like, not the mercenaries. He's threatening them rather than who is Bane, why he wears the mask, why Brad Jones is so based.
Biased.
No, based.
What does based mean?
Never heard based?
Biased.
Like, the based one. I mean, base is like, you're the best, basically.
Oh.
More or less. Like, why is he so based? And it's just, I don't know. It was funny. I really love the plane scene from The Dark Knight Rises because it's really fucking stupid.
Fuck you.
It's fucking dumb. You remember the section where the CIA guy is like, if I take your mask off, will you die? And Bane's like, it would be.
You mean Littlefinger from Game of Thrones and Mayor Carcetti from The Wire?
But then, like, he says, like, so the joke is, Bane's like, it would be extremely painful, and then CIA says, you're a big guy, and then he goes, for you. Because the idea is, like, it would be extremely painful for you, but it sounds like Bane saying he's a big guy for CIA. It sounds like he's coming on to him. And that whole scene, I love it so much.
We gotta get close to a wrapping up point, so shut up and tell me about that guy with the glasses.
Yeah, we can kind of stop whenever you want. I mean, we'll talk about The Amazing Atheist, and then we'll lead off for now. And then when we come back, our next episode, we can do like, Indiegogo Gate and where the site is now and talent that is left. So the Amazing Atheist is a YouTube celebrity. He's basically a vlogger who does a bunch of dumb political news stories. I watched him for a while.
See, because I always confuse the Amazing Atheist with the Amazing Racist, who was like in the early YouTube eras, who would like when like Bush was still president and would like go around and like had YouTube videos of like picking up people, or not maybe not YouTube, but just internet videos of like going to Home Depot and picking up like very racist, like go picking up Mexicans and just taking them to border control or what do you call it, immigration services.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't really watch him much anymore. He has a podcast that I actually do watch fairly often because it's actually fairly entertaining. He's one of those people who I think is constrained by a script. When he is just sort of talking naturally about an idea, he's smart enough, and he's not like super witty or anything, but like, he's funny enough. That's what I like him to do. But anyway, so he's pretty big. I think he is like the biggest atheist on YouTube. Which that's a whole fucking subculture now, is the atheist people. And he has like the most subscribers by I think a pretty wide margin. But anyways, so at some point he's like, I really want to do movie stuff, but the people on my channel maybe don't love it as much. So he got in contact with that guy with the glasses, and he said, I got a pretty big following here. I'd like to do stuff for you guys if you guys will have me. And they're like, yeah, we'd love to have you on. And he did a couple things. He had like different stuff. One was called Trailer Failure, which he kind of reviewed trailers, and that was kind of interesting, just because it was something different. And there's like there's an art to making trailers that's kind of lost.
Yeah.
So and we all do it. We all, like, when a trailer for a bad movie comes out, we all sort of huddle around it and poke fun at it. So it was fun to see someone kind of do that. And then he swapped it up a bunch. Like, there were times where like he just played the whole trailer and then went by it point by point. There were times where like he did a point and then showed the point and whatever. And he was doing really well. He was just getting like 200 to 250,000 views a video. And he was in like the top 5 contributors on the site. And like the people who were beating him were not beating him by very much, according to him at least, which I don't doubt. Like, his videos average somewhere around there on YouTube. So if a portion of his fandom went over there to watch that stuff, it's not a huge stretch to assume he'd be running those kind of numbers. But apparently, his problem with the site, excuse me, and why he ultimately left, is more or less, he felt like he was not being utilized properly. He talked to Mike Ellis, who is one of the founding members of the site and who has since left. The only founding member left is Mike Mashad, who again yelled at a woman braided an adult woman into tears. So, and cannot come in contact with anyone apparently. But Mike Ellis was apparently really cool. Like, they talked about stuff. He felt like it was more than a business relationship. He felt like he had he formed a bit of a friendship with this person he worked with.
Okay.
And Mike Ellis really wanted the site to be big. He wanted the little guy to be as big as Doug Walker.
He wanted what the guy with the glasses was supposed to do, that you bring on a fresh, young, talented creator that you like, and because they're on your channel, because this is what you described when you were saying we should do this episode, what you were describing what the site was supposed to be.
Right.
Like just being on here elevates you to everyone else's level. Like, we are the talent, not this one guy.
Right. That was the idea. But he kept getting bottom billed. So the way the site is set up, I don't know if it's set up like this anymore, but basically there was sort of that thing that all news sites have. Like the Shruktoid has it. I think Games Radar has it. Where it's like, here's a news story, and then it goes to the next one. Here's another story.
Yeah.
Netflix does it. It had that set up, and then there was 5 videos, and he was always 4th or 5th. He was always at the bottom. and he was doing amazing. Like, literally, he was one of the best contributors to the thing, but they kept bottom billing him rather than, like, you're number 2 or you're number 1 or whatever, and there didn't really seem to be a lot of cross-pollination there. Like, no one was like, hey, you should collaborate with this person. You got similar styles. You can go to that site for one person and never... There's no, like, recommended videos. There's no, like, hey, you should check this guy out. You'd probably like him based on what you do. I mean, the amount of junk I watch on YouTube just because it's on my front page based on what I have subscribed to is a good... most of what I watch at this point. Like, right now, it's all Proto Men songs and Dark Side Phil videos, so that's maybe not...
You have a problem.
I have a problem.
Are we going to cover Boogie?
Are we going to cover Boogie? What's wrong with Boogie?
No, I don't know anything about Boogie. I don't like him.
I think, like, generally Boogie is fairly highly regarded within gaming circles. I think people like him a lot. I don't know anything about him that's wrong.
I don't know either. I just didn't know I don't like him.
Well, whatever. So the Amazing Atheist, he eventually left the site because he felt like he was being mismanaged. And he said, the people there who were there...
Is the Amazing Atheist, like, you're saying he's an interesting person? Because I've heard his name a lot, but like I said, I know nothing about him.
I mean, he's sort of an internet punching bag. He's one of those people who's like,
Like...
I mean, you know who I'm talking about.
It's his name. Like...
Who fake intellectualism, and, like, they come under fire for it, and he's sort of put in that camp. But I've watched his stuff. I think on the podcast especially, the Drunken Peasants podcast is what it's called. Like, they are atheists very clearly. And like,
so
people
you're saying this is a podcast I should listen to?
I mean, you have to watch it because it's kind of a video podcast too.
I can't do that.
I usually play it in the background or while I play video games.
I'm just gonna listen to more NPR.
Sure. You fucking little. But anyways.
Hey! I'm a Republican.
So, like... Sorry, hold on.
Okay.
Alright. So... Fuck, hold on. Alright. So,
Tell me what's going on. I want to know what's going on, and I'll edit this out of the real podcast part.
No, that was the joke. I was laughing at you for saying you were a Republican.
Oh, I am. That's what I'm registered as.
Right, but the joke was that I didn't believe it. That's the joke.
No. Okay.
Thanks for ruining it.
Fine. I didn't get it. I've been drinking a lot, okay? We're talking about the internet.
But anyways, they had this dude, Tim Black, who was like this big Christian. He's like Tim the Bartender is his YouTube handle. And he just does, he does the same thing. A lot of people just, like, make fun of him.
Like the guy from Do Rah Rah Rah?
I guess.
I remember his name. It's been a while since I've seen that show, but I like that character.
And he's like this big black dude who did a video, because the Amazing Atheist did a video where someone asked him, like, when do you come out to your parents as an atheist? Because anyone who lives in the Bible Belt knows.
Oh, yeah, technically I still haven't.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's a big deal to a lot of people.
Yeah, just, like, I think my parents know, but, like, it's not a point you really need to discuss.
Right, I mean, but some people... Sometimes you do. Sometimes there are people who feel like they...
Until you... Yeah, when it becomes an issue, I wouldn't hide it, but it's, like, never become a thing we needed to discuss.
Right. So Tim was really taking the Amazing Atheist to tasks about stuff, and then they were like, well... And then he defended himself, and I felt like he made strong points. Like, well, let's bring him on. Just bring him onto the show, and we'll actually talk about it live, and we'll debate it. And Tim was on the show a couple times, and then he did another video where he's sort of like, these atheists, they're not monsters. They just don't believe in God. That's it. That's all the difference. And it was weird. It was weird to see, like, someone who would not admit to this prejudice sort of overcoming it. Like,
it was weird to see intelligent, like, and rational discourse on the internet.
But, like, yeah, they, like, if there's someone who they don't agree with, they should bring them on. And they, like, talk with them. And it's interesting. It's cool. And then, like, I think, like, the last big guest they had was there's, like, a big music reviewer on YouTube who, like, gave Marilyn Manson's last album a poor review. And I guess T.J. Kirk, the Amazing Atheist, really loves Marilyn Manson. He's kind of a fucking, like, emo dork, the Amazing Atheist. Like his hair's super long, and he feels like he should be like a Tumblr feminist almost, because he's like bisexual, and he's always like writing poetry and shit. But he's very
Oh, I
self-aware.
thought when you said Dork and Marilyn Manson, I was picturing dorky metalhead, not.
No, like that's apparently the only metal he listens to. Like the rest of what he listens to is like Bob Dylan style stuff. But he just really likes Marilyn Manson. So
Eric
you know,
Johnson.
he gets a bad rap, and I mean, he's an asshole, certainly, but he's just sort of like a weird dude, and I think he's weird in a funny enough way, and like he doesn't hide from it, you know. Like there are
Yeah.
people who, I mean, we've talked about how inevitably on this show we will have to cover ourselves at some point. I feel like
We're both definitely fucking weird ass people.
right, like eventually something will
You want
happen.
you
And
want to talk about how much I love Tron? We can talk about how much I love Tron for like 4 hours straight.
sure, I mean, I kind of already talked about how much I love Metal Gear.
Oh, that's like a day-to-day conversation for you and I.
It's so fucking great, man.
It is. I will give you that. It is pretty fucking great.
Did you know each of the Cobras in Metal Gear Solid 3 is actually preparing you for the fight with the boss because they each use a tactic that the boss uses in the final fight?
I did not know that.
We'll talk
Did you
about it when
know
we play
that?
the
Did you
game.
know that the way that I beat the end was that I killed him when you can kill him early, just serendipitously?
Yeah, you can do that. That's great.
Yeah, and he blows up.
Yeah, that's the best.
It is the best. That game's so good.
Anyways, the Drunken Peasants is pretty good. They have like 3 fucking shows a week,
That's more than Mark Maron does.
and they are all like 2.5 hours.
That's way more than Mark Maron does.
I mean, it's a ton of content, and like the Amazing Atheist still puts out like just pure stuff, I guess. But I mean, it's good. I like it. I think he gets a bad rep, um, or he gets a worse rep than he kind of deserves. But whatever. So that's our first part of that guy with the glasses. It's a weird site. Um, we're gonna delve a little deeper into the mismanagement side of stuff. Oh fuck! Before we stop, I gotta say, the Nostalgia Chick has also actually made a movie.
A
And before
movie?
she made it like a real fucking movie. They got shown at a theater in like downtown Los Angeles, I want to say.
Like how the Angry Video Game Nerd made a movie?
No, like she made a real documentary called The A,
Oh,
which is about her abortion.
shit.
It's fucking. I mean, you know.
Wait, what was that site that made like multiple movies about their own characters with their like little plot lines?
No, that's that guy with the glasses.
It is?
Yep,
What?
they're dumb.
Wait, have we gotten there yet?
I mean, we talked a little bit. I talked about. I mean, if you want, we can talk about Kikassia. That's kind of dumb.
Yes, let's briefly talk about Kickassia, I guess.
All right, so Kikassia was the second anniversary. The first one was that guy with the glasses versus AVGN, which was just dumb fun. It was one video of dorks punching each other. So the plot of Kikassia, this is a real place. Malaysia is what it's called. It's a country inside Nevada.
Malaysia's a real place.
Yes, it is an actual tiny country. It's about like 6 acres, I think. It is independent of the United States. It is officially recognized as its own country with its own currency and its own
Is,
government.
is it really only 6 acres?
It's not very big. It might be more than 6. It might be like 30 or something, but it's not very big.
6 acres is really small, Dylan.
It's like the dude's house in his backyard.
Really?
Yeah, it's not very big.
No.
That's the fucking joke. It's just his house is its own country. It's beautiful. It's beautiful what people in this country can do. I was asking you earlier. I was watching a fucking video on Japanese game development where Kinji Inafune said like, I just don't think Japanese game developers know what Americans want. And I thought, I don't know what Americans want. And then
Garbage!
and what I think what we want is, because I was looking at it in movies, in games, in music, in TV, in comics. What's like the one genre that is constantly heralded as like the pinnacle in each of those formats? Gangster
Action.
stories.
What?
Gangster stories.
I guess.
Like, there's always, like, Scarface is considered one of the best movies. Godfather is one of the best movies. GTA is considered some of the best video games. Fucking, how many gangster rap albums are there that are considered some of the best? Breaking Bad is effectively a gangster story.
I guess.
I mean, it's because here are underprivileged people who are breaking the rules and making it. And that's what we want. We want to see someone who should never make it by just doing what they want and not caring what people say. And that's what this dude did. He made a country. It's beautiful. So the plot of the movie is that guy Channel Awesome is going to invade Malaysia and take it over and rename it Kickassia.
And don't they have another movie with like alien invasions?
Yeah, that's To Boldly Flee, I think. I didn't watch that one. I actually have one dude. I have stories from a dude who actually worked on Kickassia.
Really?
Yes. This comes from TV, the television board of 4chan, so take it with a grain of salt. The dude apparently worked as a sound guy on the movie, but in reality, he basically just he was basically like an intern who just sort of like brought people food because they didn't actually have any sound production set up.
Interesting.
Like they didn't have like mics or anything.
They didn't have mics? They filmed a movie without fucking mics. Are you kidding me?
They probably had like mics on the camera, but
Are these movies like fucking terrible?
I mean,
or do they just like ADR the shit out of it?
I mean, I don't know. It's it's a bunch of fucking idiots running around in costume. I mean, I think you know what you're getting into. They're not good, if that's what you're asking. These are below what Red Letter Media puts out.
Well, I mean, they're even trying to put out like B movies. Like that's what they love. So.
But this isn't even really a B movie, because a B movie is generally like comes about out of either incompetence or lack of resources. This is just sort of what I have written here is that apparently Doug Walker really thought he is going to be the next Spielberg.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently the owner of Malaysia was kind of treated like trash the whole time. They just weren't very respectful for him. At some point, I guess someone ate food out of his fridge, and then Doug had to call a meeting and very seriously told people why that wasn't cool.
Oh wait, so they literally went to Malaysia?
Yeah.
Wow, what? How? What?
Fucking what else?
Malaysia's not in Nevada either. It's an island.
No, it's in Nevada. You're thinking of a different Malaysia. I might not be saying the name right.
Oh.
Molossia.
Malaysia.
Malaysia.
Malaysia is an island country.
I always thought it was the same name, and it was just that was part of the joke.
Oh, I don't know then.
I mean, they're not gonna go all the way to fucking Malaysia.
I don't even know what you're talking about then.
No, it's it's a little island nation. It's not an island, but it's like a 6-acre home in Nevada, and the dude is an independent power.
The Republic of Malaysia.
Yeah, I think there's a Family Guy episode about it. I think
there's an episode where Peter turns out his house, his property isn't on the map.
Right. I mean, but I think it might have been based off this. Apparently, people don't like Spoonie very much.
What?
Probably because he was bipolar and crazy and obnoxious and bitter. Linkara apparently is constantly. Hold on, I got it's kind of the text is kind of small specifically because I'm looking at it in an Imgur catalog, so I got to go to the full quality. Hold on here. Hold on. One thing that was noted is there's a fight scene in the movie between Spoonie and Doug is dressed up as M. Bison because he is now the dictator of this little country. You get it? You get the
Yeah,
joke? Because M. Bison is
I get the joke.
the dictator of Shadowloo, which is a little country in the Street Fighter universe.
Oh,
And it,
Shadowloo's a country? I thought it was a dark, shadowy government organization.
no, it's basically the Street Fighter equivalent of North Korea.
Okay.
I wonder, I wonder if M. Bison poops.
Yes. Have you been reading? Are you getting caught up on uh One Piece?
No, I got to like 370 chapters and I haven't read it in like a year.
Oh, just 'cause that Luffy asks a bunch of different weird creature characters if they poop.
Is one of them Kim Jong Un?
No, one of them's Brook the skeleton that
No.
you
Does
might have
he?
seen. Yeah. Does he poop?
I
He
want to
does.
know.
Yes,
He's a
he does.
skeleton.
He says I do, because he's like, "Do you poop?" And they're like, "Luffy, don't ask that." He goes, "I do poop," and then they're shocked that he poops.
I mean, he's a skeleton, so that's a reasonable question to ask. I've been looking at other subjects for the podcast. One is a woman named Gail Chana, who like believes she is married to Brent Spiner, the actor who played Data on Star Trek: The Next Generation, who has her own little world where there's a church that is a spaceship of the world's like wealthiest, most famous men, and they all are like so desperately in love with her. And at some point, an evil organization called the Jesuits, 1,000 of them invaded the church and raped them all.
Dylan, we're off topic here.
And in the
Can
raping,
we wrap? We need to
hold
finish
on,
wrapping this
I have
up.
to finish this though. And in the raping, they inject Kim Jong Il with a chemical that makes him think dolphins are Gale, and so he is fucking dolphins the whole time. Brent Spiner, Matthew McConaughey, and Vladimir Putin's clone are being raped by the Jesuits.
Is that video you sent me?
Yes.
Uh, uh, I'm uncomfortable.
So someone asked, was Linkara there? And it's like, yeah, Linkara was by far the worst person, followed by Matthew Buck. Matthew Buck is a reviewer called Film Brain, who I actually like. He's got a really obnoxious voice, but he genuinely reviews stuff. Like point for point, he like has a good understanding of what makes a good film and what makes a bad film. I can see him being like obnoxious and that being a poor first impression, but I don't think he's like an outright insidious person. All right. So Linkara was just next level obnoxious. I have no idea how he got there or why anyone would ever want to be near him. He had a scene in the house where he was supposed to monologue about a battle or something. He kept blowing his lines over and over again and cracking up. This isn't so bad. It happens to a lot of actors, but it was cringe-inducing because they had the whole "lol, isn't this a great time? Memories, lol" attitude, when he was the only one laughing and everyone else was just annoyed and he was wasting time. And he kept mugging for the camera, and when he laughed, like he was going to be on some bloopers reel someday. So here's his next story. I was shooting this shit with Lindsay, the nostalgia critic, about New York City because she lived there and I used to. Linkara comes sneaking up and interrupts. Linkara, are you talking about New York? Me, yeah. Link, I've never been to New York. Me, oh, it's cool. Everyone should go once. And then Linkara says, I'm gonna. Oh, okay. No, I'm probably not. Oh, why? I'm just not.
That guy sounds like the worst person ever.
He's also apparently like a really radical feminist.
The kind of
Well, okay, he's not a radical feminist. He is who people like Josh McIntosh and Peter Coffin, who call themselves feminists, are.
what?
Like a
I
bunch
can't remember who said it on our podcast, but I swear to God it was our podcast. Maybe it was another one. I don't know. My brain is mush especially because of this show now. But someone said that the difference between feminists and radical feminists are that radical feminists think that women deserve special treatment.
Yeah, that was Kate on the last episode
I
talked about
thought it was Kate. Yeah.
radicals, like they don't just want equality, they want like special privileges for women. I was gonna wait for the Peter Coffin episode because that's where I came into contact with this, but someone on 8chan kind of laid it out pretty clearly. Because the same thing that happened to Peter Coffin happened to Linkara. So the idea with these radical feminists or this SJWs, how they get people, is they find comedians, and so much of comedy is based on like shock, you know.
Yeah.
That's what it's a lot. It's based off of. That's what Peter Coffin did. Linkara wrote awful comics. He very clearly loves Frank Miller, and that's who he was imitating. But his drawings are done in MS Paint, so you can imagine how that kind of works. Not very
It
well.
was like someone tried to someone tried to make Cool Jeff and Hellabro a serious comic.
Not quite. I mean,
Or
I
sorry, it's
guess
Cool Bro and Hella Jeff. My bad.
no, it's Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff.
Sweet, you're right.
Yeah. No, not
I,
quite. Like, I mean, Andrew Hussey, he does all his stuff in MS Paint as well, but he has like a style to it, you know, and he still uses like a stylist to do it. The idea is just like it's simplistic. He just doesn't like really, he doesn't really shade or anything. That's kind of the gimmick. Like Linkara just did not have anything but MS Paint. So he has like these long, deep monologues about violence and death in like poorly drawn images. And there's one where like a prostitute, like the hero's name is Lightbringer for fuck's sake. And there's like I guess he walks in on a prostitute who has had her like rib cage ripped open, and then some lady who I guess he was trying to get with on uh, found his comics and posted them to something awful, much like Chris Chan. And then like they just sort of tore him a new one about it. Like, man, this is real sick and offensive. And after that, he's like, that's why I became a feminist. Because these people kept telling me how wrong and disgusting I was.
were they really wrong and disgusting?
Not really. I mean, they weren't worse than anything Frank Miller's put out. They were wrong and disgusting because they were ugly as shit and they were poorly written. But
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't like politically offensive. Those people probably didn't even mean it. Because the thing I learned, if you're on the opposition of like the 4chan people and the something awful people, they suddenly become real politically correct for no real reason. ABC did a piece on the Glock, the gun, and there was like sort of an offhanded joke about how like there's some ad for the Glock and like the woman like a rapist breaks in and she shoots him dead, and then like there's a statistic about how like something like 70% of women who own a gun are more likely to be shot to death. And then suddenly people in the thread, this was on Poll of all places, the politics board, which is the least politically correct place. But suddenly a lot of people were all like bitter about it. Like, do you have any idea what rape does to people? That's real fucked up that you would like throw that out there. And maybe it's just because they had the opportunity and it wasn't edgy to like agree with them anymore. But it was weird. And I think that's what happened to him, which is why he became one so early. Whereas Peter Coffin, like, I think they really
We'll get there.
contracted.
We'll get there. We're saving that.
I mean,
The whole reason why we did this episode now instead of that one is because of our weird, fucked up release schedule.
right. I mean, the point being, if you're a comedian who relies on shock humor, they will see that, and then they will put you through the cauldron, and then they will sort of tear out your fangs and keep you from making anything worthwhile again. That's how they populate. They
Well,
destroy creators, and they prevent them from creating.
yeah,
Hashtag,
we will end the first
hashtag not your shield.
hashtag not your shield. We will end this part of our that guy with the glasses story here. I'm curious to know more about these movies when we come back before we move on to the really fucked up shit that happened.
I
And
mean,
it turns out that everyone's awful.
they're free. You can watch them.
I don't want to watch them. I have my time is valuable. Would you rather me watch the that guy with the glasses movies, or should I play more Far Cry 4?
Eh, I mean, it's not like Far Cry 4 is going anywhere.
But my time is, Dylan.
I mean, whatever. I'd rather we play like Snake Eater or Life is Strange or something like that.
That's true. We'll probably do that. That's up besides the point. So thank you everyone for listening. We will be back with another very exciting. I'm really excited to watch this Circle the Drain though,
Yeah.
because so far you've built a dysfunctional family that works together pretty well. But I know it all gets flushed down the toilet.
I mean, I haven't even talked about every one. We haven't even talked about Bar Fiesta or Angry Joe or Blistered Thumbs or the fucking Mars girl almost quit because someone drew like gore porn of her and the nostalgia chick.
What? Oh, okay. Yes. Oh,
It's it's not like Chris Chan had like sagas. That guy with the glasses just has a pile of garbage, and I gotta sort through it.
it's interesting.
But I mean, if you want like a more, this episode was kind of scattershot, but it's kind of a scattershot topic. If you really want something on a super technical level, Lord Cat's stuff on this, he goes into detail on why their website doesn't work, why like their mismanagement doesn't really work.
At some point, you're gonna have to explain why he's fucking allowed to go in and discuss all of this, because like that's the type of shit, like that's like that they call that like whistleblowing in the corporate world, like, but he is an active member of the site, I guess, and like,
No, he left a long time ago.
oh.
He left. Yeah, Lord Cat left.
Oh, but you said he's just good friends with everyone, so he just knows. But they still tell him these things. Like,
I mean, like the people who are still at that guy with the glasses will anonymously leak stuff to him. Like behind the scenes, they'll be like, "Dude, did you fucking see what Mike Michaud did? This is really fucked up. You got to tell people about this." And they won't do it because they don't want to lose the revenue, but he'll do it because that's how he makes it.
you're setting the stage, Dylan. You've set the stage now. I mean, we still have to set the stage more because you listed a bunch more people we need to talk about,
Jesus Christ!
especially Angry Joe. But I mean,
Didn't even
like, I
fucking
feel
talk
like
about
I
Mario.
feel like we're like half of this story, however many episodes it'll be, is just like we're building the fucking tower of cards, and then we're just waiting for the fucking pin to drop.
Right. I mean, So join us next time. We'll talk about the failures of Bar Fiesta, of Blistered Thumbs, Angry Joe versus the VGAs, which we did a VGA podcast for the most recent VGAs on Geekenstein, and it was way fucking better than Angry Joe, so there you go. Go watch that, I guess.
Yeah,
And then
and
Chew Wario will lose an iPod, I guess.
we haven't even talked about Jew Wario yet.
We
Was he
haven't.
there
There was
too?
an
Is that
iPod.
what he's from?
Yeah, he's from that guy with the glasses, and then he'll lose an iPod very loudly in his bathroom with his wife on the other side of the door.
Okay.
See ya, everybody.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.